Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time. Who is the Slender Man? Coming to the Fearscape Media Network, FSMN's first ever mega October network crossover event, The Slender Man. Featuring 3 of your favorite network podcasts covering the Slender Man in all his slender glory. On October 1st, you'll hear Ghosts in the Attic, Bodies in the Basement, covering the Slender Man stabbing, where 2 12-year-old girls lured their friend into a forest and stabbed her 19 times in attempt to become proxies of the fictional character, the Slender Man. On October 6th, Fearscape Paranormal Podcasts will be covering the legend, lore, and creepypasta of the Slender Man. And finally, on October 12th, join the Misters of the Dark as they cover the 2018 horror film Slender Man, just in time for the Halloween season. Go to fearscapemedia.com or wherever you stream your favorite Fearscape Media Network podcasts. Happy Halloween!
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking, the podcast where everything is made up and the points don't matter. My name is Drew Carey, and I will be your host. Unless you're under the age of 20, in which case, my name is Aisha Tyler. Today, I finished up the last of the poison apple cocktail ingredients and am working on finishing the rest of that Four Roses bourbon that I had. Here's a fun thing. I put it in a flask, and that flask is old, and I just poured it from the flask into a glass, and now it's a weird color, but I'm drinking it anyway. Is it algae? I don't know, but it's got a greenish tint to it now. And I hope I'll be okay tomorrow. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. One time I ate crab mac and cheese that had been sitting in my car on the hottest day of the year for 12 hours. I was alright the next day. Stomach of steel. Alright, let's do this. So today I want to talk about anger, which I find a little ironic myself, because as I'm speaking through the headphones that I have on, I can hear my crazy upstairs neighbor yelling at someone on the phone. She does this a lot, okay? She cusses people out because she thinks they can't get to her through a phone. Same principle as people on the internets trolling others because they're behind the safety of a computer screen and can't get hit in the face with a fist. So, yeah, we're going to talk about all kinds of facets of anger today, and how to cope with anger, too, if that's an issue you have. I'd be lying if I said I never got angry. Have I thrown a chair at another person? Yes. Did we find it funny afterwards? Also yes. But it could have been a no, and I could have gotten very hurt. Have I stabbed someone with a pen before? Yes. But he was taking something I was writing and he shouldn't have done that. So I think he learned his lesson. Again, we laughed later. But not everyone is gonna laugh with you after you have a little outburst. And I have since learned to control my anger. Except for the occasional screaming into traffic and throwing something, which I haven't done in a while. I'm past the throwing, I think. I don't throw shit anymore. Not since like 2015. I'm an adult now. I read something recently that was pretty interesting called Anger as a Drug, which I thought was interesting because it can be a little addictive, right? Like, it feels good to be angry. Or, like, at least it feels better than other emotions that we have. The weird thing about anger is that it's a secondary emotion. Like, we're not angry for no reason. Like, we're scared and then we're angry. Or we're sad and then we're angry. Yeah, so think about that. What's underlying your anger? It's got to be something, because we're not angry for no reason. Like, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, are you angry at them? Yeah. But, like, only because you were scared that you were going to get hurt in a crash or something. Or maybe if you weren't in danger of getting hurt, you just, like, have a sense of justice and, you know, that they did something wrong and have to be held accountable for it. And you're angry that they're not being punished for it. And all of that is because you think justice prevails. So yeah, anger always comes after something else. And it makes you feel stronger to be angry about something than to be scared or sad. I mean, is it our fault that we like it? It makes us feel better. It makes us feel like we're in control of things that we might not be in control of. It makes us feel powerful. So, yeah, anger serves a purpose for us, and that is to push aside those fear and sadness feelings, and it gives us something else that we can focus on. Basically, what I'm saying is, we love anger. It makes us feel good inside, like really good, like fuck the rest of you, we're in charge. Because that's how it makes us feel, and we love it. And we're more energetic and alert, and we're in control. But, like, duh, it can also be unhealthy. Not just because it has bad consequences a lot of the times, but also, like, studies show that it damages your immune system. You have a higher risk of cancer or heart disease. And, like, on a lesser note, something I should have said before the more intense ones is that, like, some people report hangover symptoms after feeling angry, which is why a lot of people equate it to feeling like a drug, because we do feel powerful when we're angry, and it can become an addiction to be angry all the time. So, yeah, it doesn't just result in bad consequences in the moment, like when you approach the biggest guy in the bar for hitting on the girl you were talking to, and he stands up and you're like, oh my god, you're a giant. You're like Vin Diesel and The Rock had a baby and now they're trying to punch your face in, and you're like, that was a mistake. Now, there are other consequences, like actual negative health consequences, and social ones, like you start being angry all the time. People aren't going to want to hang out with you because you're no fun. You're just mad all the time, you stupid lug. That's right. I called you a lug. I'm bringing it back like it's the 50s. Deal with it. Anyway, delving into what causes anger. Like, there are so many things that lead to it, and there's that whole reason why it's a secondary emotion. So, most of us, the two main ways we feel, no, three main ways we feel before being angry are sad, afraid, and powerless. So, trying to reduce our anger starts with tackling the pre-existing problems like those. What is it that's making us sad? What can we do to change it? What are we afraid of? How can we either conquer the fear or learn to live with it? Or if we feel powerless, how can we try to take more control in our lives without allowing the anger to be the control that we take? Tough questions and very situational. So I might start talking in examples soon. But after I take another drink of this very questionable liquor right here. I mean, it tastes and smells fine. It's just the color that's wrong. I'm definitely gonna get sick from this. But that's problem for future Kelly. I mean, Drew. Or Aisha. Whatever you prefer. Anyway, when it comes to reducing anger, there are a lot of anger management techniques out there. Overall, what they all kind of get at are little steps, such as admitting that you're angry. Sometimes you just get angry without stopping to think about it or what to do about it. You just have your little outburst. Or you try to cover up that you're feeling angry, like it's just gonna go away if you don't do anything about it, like that great Adam Sandler, Jack Nicholson movie where he was angry all the time, but he wouldn't acknowledge it. So the whole point of that hour and a half was just getting him to say, yes, I'm angry, and take some action instead of burying it deep down. So admit that you're angry. Sure, there's another emotion underneath it, but tackle what's on the surface first before diving deep down. You're not going to solve all of the big issues right off the bat. Stop getting gung-ho about it, Babe Ruth. I don't know what that reference meant. Don't read anything into it, please. They also want you to identify what you're angry about, because it's not always obvious. It's not always the last thing that just happened to you. It might be something that happened yesterday or last week, or something that's been bubbling under the surface. Bubbling under the surface, as Maya Rudolph would say. Bubble bath. Then once you identify what the cause of your anger is, Think about it. Could you avoid what makes you angry? Are you partially responsible for it? What do you need to do to change it so that you are no longer angry or won't get angry about it in the future? And then basically listen to what the anger is telling you, because if there's something that you don't like, then you can probably change it. Once you find out what that thing is, you can express it. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you find you're angry with them, identify what it is that caused that. Is it a fear within the relationship? Is it a resentment based on something you had wished they had done but they didn't do? Or was it something that they did do that made you feel sad or afraid? Because those are things that could lead to anger. So you need to identify it and then express it, because that anger is not just going to go away. You have to take control in a different way. So in that scenario, you would actually have healthy communication with your partner like people do, and let them know what it is that upset you and what they can do. What you both can do. Because let's face it, it takes two to tango, bitches. And, like, you probably had a hand in it too. Like, maybe they forgot your birthday. And you know that they're not good with dates, but you also didn't say, hey, my birthday's in a week or two. You just let yourself get upset that they forgot. So you can't be totally upset that they forgot, or that they never knew, or was nowhere near the front of their minds, because you can't expect someone to follow through on something that they don't really know about, right? I'm trying to say that a lot of things that we're angry about could just be solved by functional communication. And that is a hill I will die on, because it's the truth. You dig? Yeah, now I'm bringing the 70s back. I don't know decades and their trends. So anyway, if you practice looking at the underlying things that cause the anger, then when it bubbles up, you're going to get better at recognizing why it bubbles up, and you can rein it in and respond in a way that you choose, rather than just having an outburst style reaction. Because we've all had the reaction before. But doesn't it feel better when we can calmly say why we're angry and ask people to change their behaviors to make us feel better? Which brings me to my next point. People don't have to change their behaviors to make you feel better. Anger is your own shit that you have to deal with, and it shouldn't be someone else's job to make you feel not angry. That's on you. You can ask for what you need, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get it. So, be a fucking adult and learn to cope with your emotions instead of being a little bitch. You heard me. Alright, let's talk ways to cope with it, because you hear all the time about anger management classes, but that doesn't really tell you what exactly any of it is. And also, based on the program, you don't always see great results with that. So there's CBT based anger management, which is kind of all the shit I've talked about before with the cognitive distortions and figuring out the underlying reasons and tackling the problems that make you angry in the first place. That is cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's why it's one of the most popular therapies with practitioners, because it's science based, it fucking works, and it makes the most logical sense. And there's also other shit that you can do that will help to physically reduce all of the chemicals in your body that get all hyped up with anger, like your adrenaline and cortisol and all that junk, which is, as I say in pretty much every goddamn episode, if you haven't figured it out yet, meditation. Guess what? That shit will slow your blood pressure and all of the things associated with anger, and regular practice of those things will just reduce the amount of anger. They did a whole bunch of studies over the years, but I was looking at some meta-analyses of all those studies, and I found out that CBT-based anger management achieved a risk reduction of 23% for recidivism. Shut up. Basically, it's not awesome statistics, but it's better than nothing. But it achieved a risk reduction of 28% for violent recidivism. So almost 30% reduction in violent tendencies. Shit, I'll take any reduction in violent tendencies, because compare these to the control groups that didn't get any anger management, and there was like no reduction. So, you know what? Some is better than nothing. Now, people that complete treatment, which could be up to 8 CBT courses or sessions, you might call them, results in 42% risk reduction in general recidivism, and completion of a treatment, like actually getting someone to certifiably say, you did this program with me, results in a 56% risk reduction in violent recidivism. So, anger management is scientifically proven to reduce risk to both self and others. And it is especially useful in reducing the actual violence displayed by people who are angry. So all those people who get like court ordered to anger management instead of just going on their own, shit, even those people that don't want to be there, if they complete the program, even if they have to, even if they're forced to, 56% reduction in violence afterward, which I say is pretty damn good. It's better than nothing, and it's what we got right now. Because we're not perfect as a society, so use the techniques that we have developed, and at least we're getting some scientific results back saying that, hey, this is actually kind of helpful. Could be more helpful, and maybe we'll discover different ways in the future of making it more helpful, but for now, it is helpful enough. So, you know, if it's an issue, damn, get some CBT treatment for it. But anyway, yeah. Main ways of coping with anger. You got a handful. There's the avoidance or removal method, where you just take yourself away from whatever it is that's making you angry. You remove yourself from the situation and give yourself an opportunity to calm down. And usually, once all the chemicals in your body have settled and you have some distance from the situation, you can look at the problem more logically and can approach the situation differently. It also gives you some time to be more aware of yourself, any role that you have played in the situation, and really just to see things in a new light. Then you've got your relaxation, coping skills. Obviously, meditation, the slow, deep breathing, repeating a little mantra, a word or a phrase over and over. Those repetitive things can be helpful in reducing both anger and anxiety. Or focusing on an image. Remember in Happy Gilmore when he had his happy place that he went to when he got mad or anxious? Kind of like that. With as much beer and ladies in lingerie as you would like. Just like Happy. Yeah. And that will just, help you to be able to look at whatever is making you angry with that calmness underneath, so it doesn't force you back into the anger. And then changing your attitude is just using CBT to look at your actions with everything and figure out how you can change your attitude or the way you view the situation. Sometimes we snowball things and think that they're the worst thing that could possibly happen when really they're not that bad at all. Having big disappointments like that make it easier to get angry again later about smaller things. So if we just identify the stuff that's making us angry, then we can work on either accepting it or changing it, depending on whether or not we can. Humor. A lot of people change the way they look at things by looking at it through a humorous lens. And that might it helps you take a step back to be less angry about things when you look at it from a humorous perspective. But most of all, it might help you laugh at yourself a little bit, because part of what anger is trying to feel powerful and have other people take us seriously. And if we take ourselves less seriously, then we're less likely to try to force other people to take us super serious, and we can see how maybe some of our behaviors are silly and we can laugh at ourselves. Practicing acceptance and forgiveness is a big one. The big thing with this is that realizing that most people don't do bad or mean things intentionally. When we think that other people do things intentionally, or that they could have acted differently if they really wanted to, it totally ignores anything else that might be a factor in their lives. Like, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm going to get pissed off. So I can either choose to believe that that person's just a dickhole, or maybe they really have to be somewhere important. Like their wife is giving birth at the hospital and they're racing there to try to get to her and be with her, And that's why they had to pull out in front of me instead of waiting the 2 seconds to go behind me because no one else was behind me. Jerk. See? There could be a reason for people's behaviors that we don't even know. So one of the things I like to do is just practice coming up with reasons. And once you have a handful of reasons for something that upset you, and you figure out maybe one or two of them are likely, then you just feel less angry about a situation because, oh, here's the reason why they behaved the way they did. It had nothing to do with purposefully being a jerk to me. They just had their own problems that they were dealing with, and that resulted in something that was inconvenient for me. So, blaming someone else doesn't really get you very far. So, practicing acceptance and forgiveness is just something that can help you reduce anger in the future because, most of the time it's logical. There are reasons for people's behavior, and most of the time it has nothing to do with you. We're all our own little centers of our own little universes, and other people don't really enter into that very often. So we need to stop thinking that we're the center of everyone's universe. That's a little part of where some of that anger comes from. Also, just enhancing some of your skills, especially with communication, because a lot of the times anger results from not having some of the necessary skills to get through interpersonal problems. So maybe you don't know how to talk about money with your significant other, so you fight about stuff all the time when really all you need to do is sit down and talk about a budget or something, Like, just learning some of the things that you don't know communication-wise could really help reduce anger at little things like that. So, the more skills you acquire, the more you can problem solve in a logical manner. I'm using the word logical a lot. Is there another word for logical that I can use? Logically, I will try to think of something over the course of this episode. Anyway, those are some of the things that you really need to look into to help reduce your anger. What have we learned today? You're only angry unless you're already sad or scared about something. So figure out what you're sad or scared about, and then find a way to cope with those things. And then voila, your anger shall reduce. Now, if the things you're sad or scared about are less easily solved, work on reducing anger symptoms by some of the things I threw out there, like meditating and using CBT to change the way you look at things, or using humor to deflect, or just removing yourself from the situation when you're in explosion mode. Yeah. So, going through anger management can help long term. A lot of studies that were done had like 6 month, 1 year check-ins where everyone rated their anger and whatnot. And they got some fairly good results. Better results than anything else you could have gotten. You know, so it's worth it to try. We also learned that maybe don't drink weird colored bourbon after it's been shut up in a sketchy flask for a while. And also, maybe you should watch Anger Management again, because that was a good movie and you haven't seen it in almost a decade, but like, it was funny. You should watch that again. And also the holidays. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. It's Thanksgiving-ish now, so gratitude. I should have done an episode on gratitude, but like, how much do you say about that? Studies have actually shown that making like gratitude lists and shit actually does help your well-being overall, long term and short term. So like, just take that knowledge with you into the holiday season, because you know, aside from the whole genocide thing, that's supposed to be what this holiday is about. Alright, so as I finish off the last of this greenish bourbon, that I'm just pretending is for St. Patrick's Day, I just want to leave you with something I say every episode. Do some goddamn meditation, you losers. It'll help you feel better. And also, if you do have any anger problems, talk to someone about it, because there might be some very specific CBT methods that could be helpful for you. Or you can just go back and listen to my first 2 episodes, which completely cover cognitive distortions and might help you identify the things you're sad or scared about, and how you can change your thinking styles associated with those things. Okay, that was more of a mouthful than I wanted to say, but I think I'm done now. And probably ready to go to sleep soon. So thanks so much for listening, Fearscape Media Network. Yeah, that's all I've got to plug. I could make a great dirty joke there, but I won't. It was about a butt, though. Plugging a butt. Okay, peace out.